Okay, I think it's 10 o'clock now, and that's a good time for us to start. Thank you so much for anyone who've been able to join, and hope you will see more of you joining as we go through the webinar. It's a first series of webinars that we started now, and we will be, as AiKYNETIX, we'll be focusing on the tennis, specifically the science behind the tennis serve, as you can see by the title. And my name is Anton Galvas. I'm CEO and co-founder of AiKYNETIX. And we have amazing guest speaker, Subhashi Zaki. You can see her amazing background on the slide. She's applied sport performance scientist for AiKYNETIX. She joined us just 6 months ago, and maybe you wonder what is AiKYNETIX. So AiKYNETIX is a computer vision company. We've been on the market for almost 5 years, 3.5 years in research, and almost 2 years on the go-to-market. Trying to deliver the best human movement analysis platform for you guys. And specifically what we can do, we can provide lab-grade biomechanics from a single phone camera. A single phone is important, under 60 seconds, with no wearables, no specific lab. And we are AI native engine. So one of the fastest growing human movement analysis company on the market. Anyway, with all this great pitching of the company, I'd like to transition to our guest and to amazing topics that we have today. Subhashi, please go ahead.
Yeah. So hello everyone. First of all, thank you so much for joining us today in this webinar. I'm Subhashri, Applied Sport Performance Specialist here at AiKYNETIX. So my background is in physiotherapy that I apply across various fields of sports science like athlete profiling, performance analysis and monitoring, as well as enhancement of variables across various sporting disciplines. I am also experienced in return to sport programs and sport-specific rehabilitation. I am a trained tennis player myself, and I have some decent accomplishments back at home in India in the national level as well. So today I will be giving you guys a basic biomechanical perspective of how we can analyze a tennis serve, also help AI-based analysis understanding as well. So through this webinar, we like to cover these particular topics today. So first, I'd like to talk about why biomechanics is so important when it comes to analyzing a tennis serve. Then we'll be looking into certain biomechanical aspects and certain biomechanical concepts that are always being applied on a tennis serve. And then also we'll be having a live demonstration for you guys here on how we analyze how we analyze a tennis serve with the help of AI based analysis model here at AiKYNETIX. And in the end, you guys are free to ask any questions that you have towards us.
By the way, Subhashi, it's a very important point. We'll make it interactive here, and any questions that you may have, you can ask at the end. We allocate from 5 to 10 minutes, depending on how many questions we will receive, and we'll be able to answer all the questions that you may have. Anyway, so at this stage, I'd like to just mention maybe about the AiKYNETIX technology, a little bit more depth before we go to all this analysis of tennis serve discussion. So AiKYNETIX comprised of three technologies, main technologies, as AI, computer vision, and biomechanics. So AI help to track your body and identify markers without any sensors on your body up to 50 points, and evaluate kinematics of the movement, accelerations, and also we are using biomechanics, numerical engine to quantify the forces, estimate the forces. We not only do this, just giving you some assessment, but we also do numerous validation, and this validation help to give confidence to our technology. And for some of you who would be interested to discuss this topic in details, especially maybe we'll have someone from research side, from kinesiology, we'll connect separately. Anyway, something else very important about our platform. The platform accessible on the phone is accessible through web-based interface, tablet. It's well adapted to any type of phone, not just iPhone. It could be an Android. Very important point about technology also, what we deliver at the end when you capture your short videos, we deliver a report. And those reports could be more basic report and advanced reports with kinetics and kinematics metrics, as we discussed. So Subhashi, with your presentation, will be going in details of explaining to you the biomechanics importance of the reports, what kind of value you can use in these reports to make the better decision in your training. That's kind of main key points here. Again, if you have any questions, please keep these questions until the end of this demonstration. Subhashi.
So before we start with biomechanics matters, let's understand what exactly is biomechanics. Now, most of us know biomechanics basically helps us apply the principles of physics and mechanics onto the human body, which helps us understand how various joints, muscles, and tendons all interact together and, help us perform these everyday movements that we do. Now, these movements can be either just unisingular or unijoint movements, just me, flexing my elbow, something like that, or it could be multi-joint movements, just like how a tennis serve works. So we know what is biomechanics in a gist, but then why exactly biomechanics matters when it comes to analyzing a tennis serve? So, biomechanics basically gives us the base to conduct an objective movement analysis exclusive to a player. Now, from a plain sight, a tennis serve might look like a very single event movement to you that you just do in order to get the ball across a court and start a point. But then, if you see it from a biomechanical perspective, it is a very technically complex and physically demanding stroke in tennis where you have a sequential movement across your body from your lower limb to your trunk to your upper limb, which all happens within a second while simultaneously, creating some sort of energy for you to hit that ball. Now, as I said, this movement occurs within a second. So even a minute deviation, either in the sequence or the timing or how exactly do you perform the movement, it could either cap your performance or it could lead you to an accumulated stress and eventually injury. So biomechanics helps you get an objective movement idea, which again helps you with performance analysis, where you can track performance markers like racket head speed, and you can understand why exactly the speed is being limited in a particular player, what is the exact limitation factor, and you can give them objective feedback rather than just coaching them by feel. And also you can aim towards injury prevention as well, where you can analyze and see where exactly overloading is occurring, quantify them through either joint angles or loading values, and you can flag injury risks and take according preventions. So now, what exactly happens if we don't have biomechanical principle backings? So we have some stats here. So if you see, 48 to 56% of the injury in high performance adults are lower limb trauma. Now, these could either be your hamstring tears, your sacroiliac joint strains, even anterior cruciate ligament tears, all these things. Then 25 to 48% of upper limb presentations are usually shoulder tendinopathies. These could happen due to two reasons. Either you're not utilizing your kinetic chain properly, because of which your shoulder is being overused, or your glenohumeral internal rotation deficit is poor. Now, that takes me to the next statistical value that we have, which says that there is a 2 times higher risk of your shoulder getting injured if your glenohumeral internal rotation deficit is more than 15 degrees. And you are at a 1.6 times higher chance of getting injured if your ACWR, or what you call the acute chronic workload ratio, exceeds 1.3. We'll get into acute chronic workload ratio a bit soon. Before that, I'd like to focus on the lumbar loading that usually happens during the acceleration phase. That is when you're just about to make contact with the ball to hit it across the court. Now, the loading on your lumbar spine has been reportedly been 3 to 40 times higher than that of running. And that explains a 12 to 39% share of your injuries localized to your lower back in high performance athletes. Now, this is usually due to your back being extended while you're about to hit the ball, and when you go like simultaneously through the acceleration and follow through phase, you're going into an hyperflexion, which is going to be like a very snapped fast movement that's gonna lead you towards injuries like pars fracture due to excessive loading, or it could either lead to latissimal dorsi tear as well. But then biomechanics is helping us make all this data quantifiable and help us go through prevention strategies to help us risk flags as well as take care of it before it becomes a huge problem and our athlete is risking time off court. Now, before we dwell more into biomechanics, I'd like to talk about acute chronic workload ratio, or ACWR. So, this ratio is basically going to tell you your athlete's day to day exposures. You can say the ultimate adaptation or a long term adaptation of what they are doing day to day. So, it is going to tell me what effect has their day to day training had through their long term adaptation of the entire training program that you have designed for them. So the formula is quite straightforward. It is a ratio of the acute workload and the chronic workload. So acute workload is basically going to be the product of your session RPE that you grade from 1 to 10 based on box scale, and you multiply it with the session duration in minutes, and that's gonna give you your acute workload in arbitrary units or AU. So for example, my session workload was just 2 and I train for 60 minutes, my acute workload is going to be 120 AU. And chronic workload is going to be the same formula applied for over 28 days, and you take the average of it. Now, we saw in the injury stats that if you exceed the 1.3 spot, you're going to be opening the gates for injuries. So, we saw why biomechanics matters and some stats on what could happen without it. Now we'll be talking about certain biomechanical concepts that have been around the time, and a lot of sports science professionals use it across the globe. And we will also be looking into certain variables that affect the performance, especially the racket head speed and the racket velocity as well. So, if I had to define the serve from a biomechanical lens, I'll say it is a combination of planar and torsional movements. Now, planar movements are basically two-dimensional movements that occur parallel to a plane. Say, basically add the linear component that is necessary for you to propel towards the court and direct the ball forward, and it also directs the direction in which you want to hit the ball as well as the height of your toss and the forward momentum, as I mentioned. So, and next is torsional movement. So torsional movement, if I had to say it in a layman term, would be the internal battery of the player. So you have this particular flow of energy occurring in a torsional or rotational or twisting movement that is being generated and passed out across the body, and finally it ends up at your racket. So these two particular movement patterns would define a tennis serve. And tennis serve is also the net output of a combination of coordinated movements as well as simultaneous energy transfer across the body as well. So the energy accumulation would be the basic input, which starts from the storage and transfer of elastic energy from the lower limb again to trunk and the upper limb, and all this energy transferred from one joint to another summates together and reflects as speed once it finally reaches the racket, and the net output is reflected when the racket contacts with the ball, and the ultimate result that you are getting is the racket head speed and the ball velocity at contact. So here you can see the visual representation of how it would work. So first we are having the energy accumulation from the ground reaction forces and the stored elastic energy. Then all this energy being transferred from one joint to the another summates at the racket. And then when you hit the racket with the against the ball, you get the racket head and racket speed velocity. So now we'll talk about the base. So since we need to have an objective basis of how we are analyzing a serve, Kovacs and Annenbecker, contributed their time to come up with a triphasic serve model, which is again being subdivided into 8 different stages. And now it is a standard framework that a lot of high performance scientists and a lot of sports science professionals use across the world to evaluate a serve. So the model has been segregated into 3 distinct phases. which is the preparation phase, acceleration, and follow through. So preparation phase is exactly where most of the kinetic energy is being built up. So first stage under the preparation phase would be the start, where you take the stance for you to start the serve. Then you release or you take the backswing, and this is where you toss the ball. And then you start loading on your lower limbs for you to generate the energy. And then you start cocking, where you have the maximum knee flexion as well as the external rotation. Then we go to the acceleration phase. It has two distinct stages, which is the acceleration and contact stage. So this is where you're going to express, or you're going to reflect the output of the energy that has been generated over time during the preparation phase. And this is also one of the most volatile stages where you can get injured. And the final phase is going to be the follow through, where you have the deceleration and finish. So this is where you have reflected the energy that you had stored, and now you relax you and you get ready for the next point. So the acceleration and follow through phases are exactly where most of the athletes get injured. So this is again a visualization for you guys to understand what the distinct phases would look like frame by frame. We have the start phase here, where you have the stance, then you release and take the backswing, then you load on your ankle and your knees for you to start generating the energy. Cocking is where the energy stops. So between loading to cocking is where you attain the trophy position that you usually see. And from cocking we go to the acceleration phase. So this is where you start expressing the momentum that you have gained throughout the kinetic chain, and then you make the contact with the ball, and this usually leads to deceleration and finish. So the kinetic chain. So this is the most important factor according to me when it comes to the serve. So this is basically like a circuit, like an electric circuit that you have inbuilt in your body. So it starts from once you come in contact with the ground reaction force. That's like the switch to your body, and then basically the electricity or the energy starts jumping from one joint to the other, until and unless it's finally reaching your wrist and then your racket. So it starts from your legs as in your ankle, your knee, and then it comes to your hip, then you have a trunk, then your trunk starts rotating, and that's when the momentum shifts to your shoulder and your arm, and finally it reaches your wrist. And when your wrist starts flexing, it is being transferred to your racket, and then when you eventually hit the ball, the energy that you have generated throughout this entire process is being reflected as the shot that you're hitting to start the point. So when it comes to the serve, the racket head speed and racket velocity are huge contributors for you to get the output, the maximum output out of the serve. But then even these two aspects have a lot of contributors. So when I talk about racket head speed and racket velocity separately, yes, they are two separate terms. Racket head speed is a scalar quantity. It doesn't have magnitude and direction. Like, it only has magnitude. Racket velocity has a magnitude as well as direction. So we have 5 key contributors here. So it's going to be my upper arm internal rotation, wrist flexion, upper arm horizontal adduction, and then we have forearm pronation and forward movement of the shoulder. So amongst these 5 contributors, there are 3 contributors that majorly help for your racket head speed, but then 2 key contributors are majorly working toward your racket velocity, which means that it does have contribution towards the racket head speed, but it also directs which direction your ball is going to go towards. So let's start with upper arm internal rotation. So this is where your arm is about to snap. So you have this particular movement, like forward and backward movement against your glenoid fossa of the scapula and your humeral head. So this is going to be like a snapped motion that is going to give you that momentum for you to hit the ball. So wrist flexion is mostly going to give you directional control. So it is going to help you control which direction. If you want to hit a wide serve, or if you want to give a little bit of topspin to your ball, that's going to be helping you. And then you have an upper arm horizontal adduction. So this, along with racket head speed and racket head velocity, is something that this contributes to. So it not not only allows you to generate force, but it also allows you to direct in which direction it's going to lead the ball to. So before the upper arm internal rotation occurs, the horizontal adduction is the first part. So the movement is going to look like, so suppose this is my glenoid fossa of my scapula, and this is my humerus, and this is the glenohumeral joint or my shoulder joint. So the movement is going to be like this and this. So this is how your shoulder is going to move when you're serving. And then we have the forearm pronation, which is this movement when you're decelerating and finishing the ball. This is again going to help you with the direction, so it helps more towards the racket velocity rather than a racket head speed alone. And then the overall movement of the shoulder. So when I talk about the shoulder, it's not just the glenohumeral joint, we are talking about the entire shoulder complex. So we have four distinct joints in the shoulder complex. So first is the glenohumeral joint. That's where the internal external rotation and the horizontal adduction is happening. Along with that, we also have the acromioclavicular joint, we have the sternoclavicular joint, and we have the scapulothoracic joint. So all these joints contribute through minor movements that allows the formal propulsion of the shoulder, and it's going to help you direct the ball, as well as maximum it's going to help you with the racket head speed. So we found a 2024 kinetics and kinematic analysis that was giving us slash to near perfect correlations with racket head velocity based on certain variables. So the most influenced phases of the serve, like the most influential variables of the serve that help with the racket velocity, are the loading and loading release transition phase, and then we have the cocking phase and the cocking stage and the acceleration. So the loading to release point is where exactly you have a lot of concentric energy being stored, and cocking is where you have the external rotation point. So you have a lot of eccentric energy being stored here, and acceleration where your entire body snaps into the bow positions and your posterior chain is going from concentric to eccentric. So there's a lot of energy expression happening there. So all these three factors are the key factors that correlated well with racket velocity, and they give you the performance output. And when it comes to injury risk that concentrates in the serve, again, as where we talked about the key variables more, so we had the cocking and the acceleration stages here. So I had mentioned before as well, so these are the particular points where the body is at risk of injury as well. So these are very volatile stages. So during cocking stage, we had talked about internal rotation deficit. So because of this, there can be shoulder tendinopathies and there can be rotator cuff tears as well. During acceleration stage, as I said, acceleration to deceleration is basically a transition. So during the transition is the point where usually the injury occurs. So we all know Grigor Dimitrov, right? So he had a pectoralis major tear last year during Wimbledon, because of which he had to retire mid-match against Yannick Sinner. So that was due to this particular phase where his acceleration to deceleration was not that insufficient, and he had accumulated load somewhere around his chest area, because of which he had a tear. Now again, so that's why it is really important where we use biomechanical principles and analyze a serve, and flag injury risk right before end, because again, we would have had a different Wimbledon champion last year then. And then during deceleration to finish, this is also not so people usually take this particular phase pretty lightly. They think that it's just landing and get ready for the next point, but then there are two very distinct things happening here. So your body is coming from your shoulder especially is coming from an eccentric to concentric stage. So a lot of rapid energy force shifting is happening, and as well as there is as well as there is an eccentric, so your shoulder is in an eccentric position, and there's a lot of energy absorption occurring while the racket is coming in contact with the ball as well. So because of this, again, there can be rotator cuff tendinopathies, and posterior impingement syndrome is also pretty common here. Now we understand the basics of what's happening behind the scenes of the biomechanics of a tennis serve. Now we'd like to show you how exactly we analyze a serve with AI-based biomechanical solutions here at AiKYNETIX. Before that, I think Anton, would you like to give a basic rundown of how we go about with the process?
Yes, thank you so much, Subhashi. Amazing presentation, and we are looking forward, I'm sure, for the demo itself. But for the folks online, before you go to demo, I'd like to set the stage. Just mention to you guys that it's a web-based solution. We try to make biomechanics simple, and usually you can access this platform at no cost and try. Just follow the link ai.aikinetics.app, and once you enter and register, it takes less than a minute. You'll be able to choose a variety of activities. You will be able to see a variety of activities. It's the highest level that we continue building in the platform. And let's say activity would be agility. It could be jumping, vertical jumps, running. So tennis would be one of them. And once you choose tennis inside, we continue building the library of movement. You will see in a few seconds what kind of movements you already have. And very important, once you choose a movement and you're ready to process, you have to define. I'll repeat it again. From which side you record the video, because we are 2D, so you are getting different metrics, and Subhashi will give you details depending on what kind of plane of recording you will choose. So it's simple capture. You need to be careful, and of course, before you start anything, you have to create your athletes, and for someone from physical therapy world, it would be patients. One or another way, it's again super fast. All you need just a height, weight, gender, and most of the metrics there are optional. It's fully backed by AI, so we are asking you sometimes to provide basic information about past injuries. If you want it to be counted in the feedback, please provide. Otherwise, it's all on you. So again, the product that of everything would be report. Subhashi will show you, a basic and focus more on more advanced reports. For some of you who never heard about the stages of movements and Kovacs model, trust me, once you go through this process of, and she'll go through the process of demonstration, and you will explore the platform yourself, I think you will enjoy how easy you can go from just a basic traffic light to more advanced stuff, where you can not only can share with someone, more information if you want, but also can learn a lot about tennis serve or backhand movement and many other movements that you can find on the platform. Again, with this, I'm ready to transition back to Subhashi. Subhashi, go ahead with the demo. Thank you.
Yeah, so if you guys would give me a quick minute, I'll just shift to the demonstration real quick. So, is my screen visible, Anton?
Yes, we can see it well. Thank you so much.
Yeah. So once you come to the platform and you're landing the platform, this is the first page that you'll be coming into. So I'll quickly just run you guys through the uploading the video process. So for
just 1 second, I want to make sure. For some reason I'm looking at the live demo. It's not yet showing. Okay, keep going. Sorry.
Yeah. So from overview, you can come to upload. So this is a huge glossary of various movements that we have here. They are either sport specific or mobility specific. So even if you guys don't find any of the movements that you'd like to analyze, you can always reach out to us and we can help you with that. So you can see we have running, we have walking, vertical jumps, some movements that are not directly related to your sport or the particular analysis that you want to do, but it can definitely back it up. So since we are on the topic of tennis today, I'll be selecting tennis. Once I hit click, I can go to the next page. So here you can see that we have 4 different movements available on the platform when it comes to tennis as of now. So we have the forehand, we have backhand, we have serve and volley and smash. So since we are talking about the serve today, I'll be clicking the serve option and I'll be going to next. So here you can see that we have options for which camera you want to record in. So if you want to focus more on the joint angles or how the kinetic chain is working, you can go for the side view. Or if you want to concentrate more on, how the ball dynamics are looking like, let's say you want to see how the toss height is looking like, or if you want to see how the toss deviation or the contact is happening, you can go for the front. And next you can see that we have a card where you can see how to record the video as well. And next, one of the most important things that we have is you have an option to select which hand is your dominant hand. And once when you come to the video space, you can click the particular player that you want to assess, and you can either drag a file and put it here, or you can capture them live. Or if you want to, let's say, capture 10 players at the time, you can just hit team capture and you can just come up with athletes one by one, and you can get it done within a matter of 10 minutes if you have 10 players. So once I have uploaded my video, I have an option of blurring the face of my players as well. I can name the session however I want to for my convenience, and then I can start analysis. When I hit start analysis, I just wait a minute or two and I'm coming up with an entirely analyzed video and a complementary report. So once I am done uploading and my analysis is done, I'll be taken to the session space. So here is where you will have the entire records of all the videos that you have analyzed. So I'll be taking you to the tennis space and we'll be seeing Mayank's video analysis today. So Mayank is one of the up and coming tennis players here in India. So he's currently ranked 60 amongst men's. So you can see that we have a well analyzed video here. So if I zoom in it for you, you can see that we are not just giving you the degree or the range at which the joint is in. We are also telling you which particular position the joint is in at each point of time during the video. And you have specific markers that is marking each joint as well. And
Subhashi, just maybe on this moment, I'd like to mention that for anyone who is getting excited with some of those apps on the market where you can draw trajectory of the serve, we already have it on the platform. In fact, we have all kinds of annotation to the video added. So you guys can not only interact with, look at the joint angles and all the metrics, but also annotate video and, look at trajectories and consistencies. Thank you.
Yeah. So when you are playing the video, you can also have a simultaneous looks on how the metric is gradually moving. So here I have my racket speed on, but if I want to check my body angles, I have my hip, knee, ankle. All these joint angles are being showed to me along with the video and how they are changing across the time duration of his serve. So once I see this, I have a card where I have an AI coach assistant that is giving me a basic gist on what's happening with this particular player's serve. So he's giving me key observations, especially regarding the trophy knee flexion, what the range is at, and then what are the specific injury risks, as well as some actionable insights for my next session to improve the energy transfer. So if I go down, I have the metrics that I have gotten through the analysis. So here, as discussed before and Anton had mentioned, so the red represents that the metric, that the particular range is not at par with the normatives, and green is mentioning that it is well within the normatives. So let's say you're not agreeing with the current normatives that we have, but then we are usually using normative ranges from evidence-based papers and the recommendations from experts. But just in case you have your own resources that you use, you can always either click here and edit team range. So here you can scrutinize and filter down the profile of your player as much as you want. So if you're analyzing a male or a female, or what is the age category of your player, the level that you're playing at, and then you can come here and drag along this particular cursor here and adjust the metric as you want to. So once you hit save, you can always mention why exactly you have changed the metric here. So this is one feature that we have. You can also access this particular feature here at the adjust threshold space as well. And we also have an option of checking the trends as well. So this trend but shows me how he has improved or what has changed with respect to his last session. So this is for contact height. I can check that for contact extension. I can check that for racket speed, weight transfer, all the metrics that's available here. So this was a very basic report that we have that is already giving us some idea of what the performance is looking like.
So Subhashi, just also one moment, because we are evolving so fast, maybe it's worth to mention, there is one more button on the right side in the same place. It's called guidelines, right in the place where you have trends. We just added it. And if you scroll down, it just give you one visual where you can see whether this metric increase or decrease is good or bad, and where you are visually in terms of the ranges and norms that Subhashi just described. So something to be aware of.
Yeah. Thank you, Anton. So let's say you want a bit more of details on what exactly the breakdown of the kinetic chain is looking like. You want a phase-wise analysis. So we have an option of specialized analysis through our solutions. So here you have a detailed analysis, like the analysis is quite detailed and broken down into pieces of the serve model. So here again, you start with an AI based code summary where you're going to get the basic gist on what's happening with that particular session. We have a bit more detail on the injury risk. So we are having an injury risk score, what's the key observation, why it raises this risk, and what to do for in the next session so as to avoid it. And our key insight space is quite elaborate where the risks and the particular factors that need to be improved are quite detailed, and it will also flag what are your current strengths as well. And again, here we have the basic cars that is going to tell you what the current metric is looking like. So let's say you don't exactly know what a particular metric is meant to be. We have a basic description of what that particular metric means. So here you see, this is by far, I think, my favorite thing that we are doing here. So you have an option of scrutinizing each and every stage of the serve. So from preparation to release or backswing, you have loading, you have your cocking, then acceleration, you have contact, peak deceleration, and your finish and follow through. So during each stage, I have the time span, like what's the timeline taking for each stage. So I know how much time or like how much less time am I taking to do it, or how much time am I losing here. And the overall performance in each stage is being quantified by us as well. And we have some description of what is exactly happening in that particular stage. So here, when you move across the stages, you can also see what are the limbs or what are the body segments that are involved during each stage of the serve as well. And we also have an option of comparing the serves like between first and second serve. And again, here we have a detailed metric breakdown. So here we have an option of giving you a bit more of insight on each and every metric that we have. So if you just drag down this Gen AI space, you get a basic insights on what's happening on this particular metric. So it's available for each and every metric breakdown space. Then we have a pretty summed up conclusion that's gonna give you a basic gist on what has happened in this particular session and what needs to be done next. Now, if you want to compare two different serves, let's say, we can go back to sessions. So let's say you wanted to compare one particular player's before and after serve. We have an option of doing that as well. So this was Mayank's serve, let's say 2 days ago, and this was his serve today. And I can choose these two particular videos and hit compare. So I have some a detailed comparison of what has happened between these two events. So we have a graphical representation and the comparison between, all the metrics here. So here you can see that we are also showing if there is an increase or decrease in the score. So let's say you want to share this report with the client. So you can just hit download report and you have a detailed report here with you. Is the report visible, Anton?
Not at this moment, but we can communicate certainly that you will have two options: your PDF report or interactive link. So we have variety up to 4 serves can be analyzed. So there is huge capabilities on the platform for you to slice and dice in terms of looking for deficiencies, for the gaps, and also where you're doing well.
And let's say, so this was just for one particular individual, but then let's say you have an academy with a lot of players. So we also have an option of dashboards here. So here we have it across various movements, but for tennis specifically, you can see, like, you can see how your team is doing, so we have a team baseline here and the deviation in each metric. So here the metric currently being displayed is the contact height. Let's say I want to see racket speed. So it shows me the deviation from the team baseline, how the progression has been through the months. And here, this is the best part, where you can see which particular athlete is doing good and which particular athlete doesn't need your attention as of now. They are doing pretty good by themselves, but which particular athlete needs attention as well. And you can have an outliers look as well, where you know which particular metric is currently weak for which particular player. So let's say you want to go to this particular athlete's profile directly, you can just click this particular box and you will be taken to their space. So these are the current capabilities that we have, but then we are also planning and working towards creating a OTSA scoring system as well, where where we will be using certain biomechanical key points that are necessary for you to score a serve, that we are planning to inbuilt in the particular analysis that we have. So anything that you'd like to add, Anton?
Oh, at this stage is good. We again, platform evolves substantially. Please follow us if you're not. We are adding numerous movements. Subhash already highlighted some of the movements just for tennis specifically, since we focus on tennis today. But the capabilities and visualization aspect is becoming more advanced almost from week to week. And at this stage, you will see more and more AI support and ability for you also to edit some of the feedback. So human in the loop or coach in the loop, you would say, before you share with your team, with your athletes. So there are a lot of good capabilities here, and you can create your teams. You can also, it's for businesses, and you can invite, if you're a head coach, you can have other coaches under your umbrella. And we can always explain how you can, what is the commercial model here. So it's a subscription based, could be monthly, could be yearly. Yearly, of course, giving you a huge discount and incentives. And we want you to experience it. We want you to try it before we'll speak about any payments here. So please do not hesitate to contact us. If you go to the website is super explicit, it's AiKYNETIX.com. You will find information about how to contact us. You will have option just to jump directly to the platform with no commitment, so credit card upfront, as maybe other companies do. So we all here incentivize for you to join, and we are building also the community. So our champions and how to join community, please contact us at info@AiKYNETIX.com. I think you will have a huge amount of benefits as a coach being part of the community. Being the fastest growing 2D movement analysis platform, we have a lot to offer for you, and you can be part of this great development cycle. And huge amount of academies and coaches joining. We also have elite players, as you've seen. And Subhashi, we've been blessed with Subhashi and your great presentation, joining us not only from sports science, but also with a extensive tennis background. That's why this probably first topic been selected as a first, this webinar. So I hope you're having a great time, just learning. And we will make it available so you can rewatch it and maybe invite someone else to join and watch this recording. Maybe with this, I'd like to ask you, if you have any question, you have still option to type this question in the chat that should be available to you within this hosting platform. If you don't have immediate question, I will have it later. I already highlighted how you can contact us. You can contact Subhashi directly as well. You can see her email right on the site. You can have my direct email as well if you have any questions. And of course, you can type the hosting address for ai.aikinetics.app to start exploring it again. Capture your surf. By the way, once you'll be in the platform, you'll find variety of other movements, as we mentioned. It might be something else. And of course, my question maybe for Subhashi would be, if what would be the best, maybe most popular drills, Subhashi, for generating, if I want to generate power, because I'm a meta player myself, and I always notice that I'm trying to do my best to follow techniques, but even I work on my wrist, it's kind of taking a while to build some like the power here. And is anything else I can do better to create more power? Because I'm consistent, but it's just not enough. When I see my coach surf, it's just so powerful, and it feels like he's doing the same movement. What's happening there in background? Can you just give us insight on this?
So when you say that nothing is happening in your wrist, especially, so there are two possible case scenarios here. So one could be the first and the most common possible category, where you are not essentially utilizing the first phase of your serve properly, which is going to be your preparation, your loading, and the release, especially the loading. So that is where you generate most of the energy that you need. So for that, you need to attain the maximum knee flexion. So that needs to be your cue. So make sure that you are bending your knee enough, and feeling the contraction in your lower body enough for you to translate that energy towards your trunk and then your upper body and wrist. But then let's say that isn't the problem essentially. So you are just concerned about your wrist. So for that, you need to start working on wrist strengthening drills, especially with the TheraBand. So there could be wrist flexion and extension, radial or ulnar deviation drills that you can do with the help of TheraBand. And obviously push-ups is one of the best exercises that actually I make my athletes to just not just work on the pecs and the triceps and everything, but then they are really good for you to strengthen your wrists.
Excellent. Thank you for it's very helpful answer. Maybe some more basic question I have is, if I know my coach been always saying me like I need to hold my hand up when I toss the ball, and that was super important. Then you follow with the rotation. Can you just explain the importance of the body position? And you mentioned about this rotation and tuning angle and trophy position. Can you just a little bit more give me insight, and maybe someone else who might be interested to the same question?
So in general, when it comes to sports, your body needs to act like a spring, right? So when you compress a spring, the more you compress it, the more energy it stores, and the more explosively it comes back to its normal position. So your body is essentially like a spring when you're serving. So the more you enunciate on each movement, or the more you accurately enunciate on each movement, the more energy and more efficient energy is what you're going to store. So when your coach is giving you those particular cues, it's not essentially for you to just attain that particular position, but for your body to contract and elongate certain muscles in the most efficient way possible, where you're storing the necessary energy, and you can explode on yourself in the most efficient way as possible. So
Okay.
that's why, especially when you see players like Zverev, he has the most efficient serve as of now that I have seen recently. The way he enunciates each and every segment of his body is really beautiful to see. So he's someone that you need to look up to if you want to improve yourself.
Okay, good. Thank you. Yeah, it's awesome answer. I will certainly look at it. And maybe one other question as a tennis player I have is, I do have injury with my shoulder. I'm a right-handed player, and again, it's happened during the serve, after multiple serves. So you mentioned there will be new metric that we going to add to the platform that help me to see how much loading maybe cycles I have. on how severe I load, maybe under rotating and load my shoulder. Could you just give a little bit more insight about what is coming and how me as a player will be able to judge that whether I'm outside of it, and obviously we cannot predict when injury happen, but it may be some severity question, like a semi-qualitative measure of that would help me to judge and make adjustments before I'll get in trouble.
Yeah. So we did talk about acute chronic workload ratio in this webinar today. So we are planning to bring that into the platform first of all, obviously. So that's again the ratio. So that's a space where you can track your rate of perceived exertion on a scale of 1 to 10 on a day-to-day basis.
So it will be scale from 1 to 10. Okay.
Yeah. So you multiply it with your session duration.
I can understand that, hopefully.
Yeah. So see, that's the rate of perceived exertion is one of the most utilized scale across the world by renowned sports scientists who want to get an idea from the athlete themselves and how they feel. So I think you know yourself the best, so you can tell what's happening with you the best. So you can give that. So based on your tracking, you can understand how much load your body is under, and based on that you can generally give a break whenever you need to, or even you can understand when you're under training yourself. So under training can also sometimes lead to injury. So if your body has been exposed to some intensity of training and you're giving it a break, you're not essentially not maintaining that space, and then you're stepping back and going back to it again, so your body might not support it in the same way that it used to. So it's really essential that you track this particular metric for yourself to understand on an overall basis how exactly your body is reacting to these adaptations, and eventually it will help you understand your injury risks way better.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. I'll be more careful with my serves, and I think at this stage we are good. I don't think that we have immediate questions, so it means we have all the emails provided for you guys to contact us directly on LinkedIn. It would be the easiest, and then of course emails, whatever is comfortable for you. But Subhashi, with this, I think thank you so much for such amazing insight and tennis serve analysis, and thank you for being part of AiKYNETIX and a huge contributor to development of our capability in tennis, specifically tennis, and obviously beyond tennis with all your work. And for anyone who joined and will watch this webinar later, please again follow AiKYNETIX, and we want you to stay with the platform. We don't want you to think in apps or switch between apps. We want you to focus on movements and have it easy access again with a single camera. We don't want to go to all this complexity. It's enough work to do just in this simple assessment that we do. That could be enough complex, so even expert can get lost. So we try to make it simple. We try to make biomechanics simple, and we want again join you and follow us and provide us feedback. Be part of it. Be part of this great development and growth. Again, with this, I will conclude this webinar, and I'm looking forward for you guys to join other webinars that we scheduled for August. More to come. Subhashi, thank you so much, and thank you for everyone who made this webinar possible. With this, I guess I'm disconnecting, and anything else you'd like to mention?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me today.
Excellent. All right. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much. Bye-bye. See you.